Good day, I am Graham Gordon Thomas and I am the rational environmentalist. That is, I try to take a rational view of climate change or the environment and try to define the environments for what they are, not how it is said by politics or any orthodox view. So we'll look at climate change. Not whether it's happening or not, climate's always changing. Anyone looking at a graph of climate variation over the last 2,000 years will be very, very aware that a fluctuation of 2 degrees warmer or cooler from that warmer point is normal. The pattern is there. And that pattern goes back to about 5,000 BC. And anyone can discover this for themselves. It's not a secret. No one owns the knowledge. But you have to ask yourself, and we live in Australia, what is the most important aspect of climate change? What is it about it that threatens society the most? It is always food production. Whether it's slightly warmer or not makes not much difference, because that will add more moisture to the atmosphere, because that's what happens when it's warmer. There's more evaporation in the sea from the waters, and therefore there will be slightly more we predict more precipitation or rainfall. We know this is the case because historical records tell us this is the case. When it's been warmer, it's been slightly wetter. And it depends, all sorts of deviations of that occur because, say for instance, Australia's continental climate itself affects the way its climate is. And Australia is drying out from the centre because of the nature of the climate it itself has. So there's far more to understanding climate and changes than what is basically explained by the media or in education, I assume these days. But why is the most important factor you would think you would consider your priority if we knew, and it was proven beyond any doubt, like they say, that climate was changing? Your number one priority is food production. Your number two is in increasing the ability of the economy to produce more food and create more employment by reducing the cost of electricity. It's that simple. The higher your cost of electricity, it doesn't matter how the electricity is gained, that's an irrelevance. It's the cost of it that matters, and the reliability of it. So the higher your cost of electricity is, the less can be afforded, therefore the less economic growth there is, and therefore, because agriculture in a dry place like South Australia needs to pump water, the amount of electricity required to pump water means then that it's costing farmers far too much to pump the water, then will give them back in the end a profit for their production. And farmers always face the risk of drought or anything, or floods, regardless of climate change. So what the government has done, instead of acting intelligently and rationally when it comes to climate change, and said, hang on, we'll make sure we have the food production and the water systems organised and all that done. That's what you do first. At the same time, we'll do some maths and work out how to reduce electricity prices within that formula. And that can easily be done. I will explain that in another video, how electricity prices should never have risen, should have come down, and I can explain how they can come down from any time. The fact that they can come down is a very controversial point when they're going up all the time. That needs to be addressed. But the point is, politicians acting against the interest of the state against the interest of the Commonwealth, against the interest of people, and really against the idea that climate is a threat, because the major threat it is to the economic viability of people, to feed them, to house them, to provide employment for them, is jeopardized, and severely jeopardized, because of the way they've gone about and the process of dealing with the fear of climate change. They've acted in the very, very worst possible sense, the most irrational possible way imaginable, against its own people. The government has acted against their own people, acted to destroy the economy. No government is voted in to destroy employment. This is like a revolution by government against a productive economy, which means that more and more money has to be borrowed from overseas. Then therefore Australia becomes like a national debt servant to some outside financial organisations, which we suspect the left and maybe the right, we can't tell there's a difference, work for. So something needs to be addressed in Australia, in particularly, that has such a very small amount of CO2. Human activity provides 4.5%, about the whole CO2 production on the global production is about 4.5%. Australia's is about, off the top of my head, 0.075% of the whole global thing, production of CO2. So it's such an insignificant amount, and South Australia, with less than 2 million people, has no effect whatsoever on climate. It's basically imagining it's going alone in tackling climate change against China's massive growth of CO2 emissions. There's something wrong when you are attacked for questioning those people who've got this so wrong. When it comes to climate change, well, I'm ambivalent. Many of us are. We want to look at it rationally, logically. What is the best way to do it so that people are not, the economy is not attacked or degraded by the political system that then is making it far worse. If the climate change is going to be bad, it's certainly making it far, far worse in the future than it would be if we'd taken a more rational, logical, pragmatic and practical approach to something that is only a theory anyway. It's only a theory anyway. And it's so sad that politicians, democratically elected politicians, have basically attacked their own people in the first time I can think of in history. Like a revolution of politicians, and those all subsidised by them, against the people, against a productive economy. And we need to sort of, by time, Australia at least began a rational discussion about what it needs to do about electricity costs. Thank you. I am Graham Gordon Thomas. I am the rational environmentalist. Thank you.